on, kinfolk? Welcome back to my channel. I'm here with Geraldine again for another Real Talk Thursday. Today we're gonna do our Q&A.
Yay.
You guys we asked you guys to ask us a bunch of questions just in regards to, well, I think it was kind of related to questions related to our experiences in marriage, but you guys asked a lot of different kinds of questions, so we're going to go ahead and answer those. So if you want to hear what people have asked and our answers to those questions, then keep on watching. All right, let's jump on in.
Oh, Lord. So L. Dalton asked, are you still in contact with your ex-husband's family? And then also, do you believe life is simple but we make it hard? So that's two different questions.
Is that some...
I guess we can both answer. Yeah, I am not in any way, shape, or form still in contact with my ex-husband's family. Not at all. I mean, I still talk to my ex-husband, of course, because we have kids. And actually, it's been going. We've not been together for so long, so now I would say it's fine. We don't talk to each other that much, but if we have to, it usually goes all right. And then, do I believe life is simple but we make it hard? No, I believe life is hard, but sometimes we make it harder.
Interesting. Okay, well, me, I don't really keep in touch with any of his family. I know his mom's side just pretty much shunned me after the whole situation happened, but his dad's side, I was really close with his sister and his stepmom, and we're not as close anymore. We still keep in contact though. But we just are not in touch as much as we were before. And in regards to that other question, I feel like we make life a lot harder than it is. I think it depends. Whatever you focus on is what grows. So I feel like if you focus on and I know this from experience. I used to be super negative, but I feel like if the more you focus on the negative things, the more the negative things show up in your life.
Right.
So I feel like if you adjust your mindset, then life can be a lot easier. Now, that's not to say life is easy, but I feel like it's a lot easier than we make it sometimes. Yeah. So that's just my
legit.
Okay. Alyssa Landry asks, does cohabitating with someone scare you? As in the other person really seeing your quirkiness and really weird habits. I'll let you start.
Well, I don't believe in cohabitation anymore. I definitely have done it. But it's not because I'm afraid of them seeing my quirky habits, because I think those pretty much shine through regardless of if I live with the person. I mean, I just am who I am, so you would be able to tell just by hanging out like what my quirks are. I strictly believe that cohabitation just leads to unhealthy relationships. That's why I would advise against it, especially of course if you're trying to be abstinent. That would be basically impossible. Don't try to think that you're this strong super saint because you got to have boundaries. But no, I don't feel like cohabitation would lead to someone knowing something about me that I would want to guard against, because I think that you should be transparent anyway. Because you don't, even once you get with someone and maybe y'all get married and then y'all start living together, you don't want to be like, surprise, I'm a different person. Right.
But sadly, a lot of people do that.
Yeah.
But
probably
it's
so.
Just obviously not healthy.
Yeah, it's not healthy.
I agree. I don't feel like cohabitation is the route to go. I'm not going to lie and say that I haven't, especially after I got divorced, I flirted with the idea that in my next serious relationship that I would want to cohabitate because of my experience, but the Lord quickly showed me that that was an experience that it was unique. I should have listened to my instincts, and I didn't follow what the Holy Spirit was saying to me. So that's not true to what a godly experience would be like. So I feel like now in my walk with the Lord, I don't want to put the cart in front of the horse. I want to do things God's way. And I feel like, no judgment to anybody who's cohabitating. If that's what you want, do you, boo. But for me, I would like to be married first. I am not afraid of people seeing my quirky habits. I am a little bit afraid to see theirs, though. I'm not going to lie. bit afraid because I feel like when you live with someone, it's a whole nother level. But I feel like, you talk about honesty. I'm really honest and straightforward about my flaws and those types of things because I don't want anyone to be like, whoa, But I think that I'm a little bit afraid of sharing my space, and I'm afraid of getting sick of the person or feeling like I just need to be alone. I just need to escape.
And everyone likes things a certain way. So
everyone
that is
does.
true because sometimes, like, once you have somebody in your space, it's like oh, I don't like the way that they
stack
do
the silverware instead of just throwing it in?
Right.
Like, I was like that.
Can you rinse the dishes before you put them in the dishwasher?
Can you just put them in the dishwasher right away instead of letting the dishes pile? Like, just stuff like that.
Yeah.
Or can you not throw your clothes on the floor? Or, just whatever else. Like, little things like that make me nervous. So that would be something that I would think about.
All right, next question. We've talked about this one offline. It's a funny question. So SD Brooks 08 asks to Shanna, my question is...
First of all, SD Brooks... He
stirs the pot.
You be stirring the pot a little bit too much, and you be putting cayenne pepper in the pot.
Yeah. My question is, could you remarry if he checked off all the boxes except he couldn't do cats, especially multiple in one house?
I honestly, that's one of the boxes that needs to be checked for me.
Right. He can't check all the boxes if he doesn't like the fact that she has
I have such a heart and such a passion for animals. I mean, if you follow me on, I would say most of you guys don't follow because I keep my Facebook private. I have a Facebook page, but I also have my personal Facebook that I don't accept anybody that I don't really know in there. But literally everything I post is about animals.
Yeah.
I freaking love animals. If you don't love animals too, I just don't think it's gonna work because I can't see myself being okay to never have a pet again.
Yeah.
I love cats. My heart is shaped like one. I love them.
She is the sweetest, crazy cat lady.
Oh, thanks. I am a crazy cat lady, but I adore my baby. So that would be a big old no.
I was telling Shanna, I've never really had pets before, and I'm pretty allergic to cats, but I know that people that have pets think of them like they're kids.
Yeah.
So that would be like someone knowing that I have 3 kids and being like, well, what if they check off all the boxes, but they don't like the fact that you have 3 kids?
Yeah. Which a lot of people would be like, that's not the same thing.
That's a problem.
Right.
So, no, I mean, that's not going to work. You have what you have. You like what you like. And people who are animal lovers are diehard animal lovers. It would be hard, I think, for me to possibly be with an animal lover just because I've never, even growing up, we never really had pets. We had, a couple of hamsters. We had, a couple of snakes. We had, weird pets. But we never had, a dog, a cat, a gerbil or anything like that. So people that really love, because to me, I think of pets as a lot of hard work, like another kid.
True.
So I'm like, it would be like having another kid. So I don't want another kid.
Yeah. It is a lot of responsibility. You can't just with cats, you can be a little bit more flexible, but even still, you can't be away for too long, and you have to have to consider them, unless you just are a terrible person and you don't care for your pet, which if you like that, then you need to get your life together. But, but yeah, I grew up with pets, and I feel like that's kind of a thing. If you grow up with pets, then you typically want pets as an adult too, and if you don't grow up with pets, then it's just not.
It's not something you think about.
Yeah.
So Brenda Rogers asks, how long did it take you to forgive your ex?
To fully forgive him, I would say 2 years.
I would say it took me probably 5 or 6 years.
You were together for a long time.
And I feel like it took longer because we can't just walk away from each other because we have children. So a lot of times that makes things linger, and it's they kind of drag out. And then also I know that I played a huge role too in everything that went wrong because I just feel like we were both so ill prepared to be married. So I had to get over a lot of just like emotional immaturity and stuff like that. So I think once I improved as a person, it got easier to forgive him and get over the situation. So, and now we're like, my stomach would hurt if I knew that I had to even see or interact with him. And I also didn't call him by his name. I'm not going to say what I called him because he's still the father of my children. And it wasn't a cuss word, but it wasn't a nice word. But yeah, I didn't call him by his name for a while. And I used to never refer to him as my ex-husband. I just always would say my girl's dad. And it was kind of like a way that I just was trying to like wipe him from my life. But now that I've embraced all of the experiences, I would say I'm definitely in a healthy place. But yeah, it took me quite a while.
Somebody asked me, this is, Shanna, what camera do you use to vlog? Which is not related, but I'll answer it anyway. I use a Canon G7X, and it's in the description box. Somebody commented that.
Linda M asks, have you spoken to your ex, or would you speak to him now? I kind of already answered. I do talk to my ex because we talk about our daughters, and I try to encourage him if he ever opens up about anything that he's feeling, or even if he says, oh, I'm stressed at work. I do try to be supportive and encouraging because I feel like regardless of what happened, I'm still a woman of God. So I still want to behave accordingly. But so yeah, we do talk.
I have not spoken to my ex. We spoke a little bit every now and then at first, but mostly it was like if he needed something, or if I posted a video, he would text me telling me how I hurt his feelings, or he felt some type of way about it or whatever. But then after I posted the Q&A and said how I felt about him and his feelings that were hurt, then he never texted me again.
It's like, just so we're clear.
Right.
F your feelings.
Right, F your feelings. Like, really? Your feelings are, and I think that's what I said in the video. I was like, your feelings are hurt?
Just
Your,
like
really?
that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so after that I haven't talked to him. And I don't have a desire to. I have nothing to say. If I were to see him, that's how I knew I was healed. I thought I saw him. I couldn't see in the car, but if it was him, I would have had no problem being like, "Oh, how are you? Like, what's going on? Like, how are you doing?" And that's when I knew I was healed. But would I talk to him if I ran into him? I mean, yeah. Like, it doesn't. Like, I would say, "Hey," but I honestly don't think that he would acknowledge my presence if I did. But
Nope.
yeah. So
Dana Meyer asks, do you believe in twin flame relationships?
This is actually going to be a video that we're going to talk about specifically, because I think this is, I feel like this is a topic that needs to be spoken about, because I feel like a lot of people do believe in soulmates. Twin flame means soulmate, basically, for those of you who don't know. But I personally do believe in soulmates, twin flames.
And I personally do not.
But if you want to hear more about that, then you're going to have to
video.
stay tuned to Real Talk Thursday.
Gia Brooks asks, what are some of the backlash you've experienced from people, and have you been surprised by anyone's remarks? So I don't know if she means on your social media or in your family or personal life.
Probably in these videos, I would assume.
Yeah.
Which I feel like we both got some.
If I got some, I don't be paying attention. I just be moving on.
We'll have to be mindful next time of that.
I don't care. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I'll need to find that comment. That would be interesting to read over that, but
I wouldn't say we got backlash. I think that some people have strong opinions. I think, but there's, that's the thing. When you are on social media, if that's what you're talking about, the social media backlash, there's always going to be something. There's always going to be someone who doesn't like something that you said, or misinterpret something that you said, or whatever. So that's just kind of part of the game. In regards to maybe personal life, backlash.
Did you get any backlash after like the divorce, or how even with people knowing that you were telling your story on social media? Like, did you get any backlash from anyone in your personal life?
I did not. I don't think I got any back. Like, I feel like everybody was more supportive than anything because they felt like it was healthy for me to share my story and a good thing for me to share my story because I wanted to help other people. Directly, I haven't got any backlash.
There's a second part to that same person's question, Gia Brooks. She said, Shanna, do you still want to have kids or get married after your experience? And if it doesn't happen, would you still be okay with that? And would you ever consider adopting a child?
That's good. I do want to get married again. It took me a while to get to that point, but I definitely want to share my life with someone, the right man. I don't know if I want to have kids. I don't know. I feel, on one hand, I feel like I would be a really amazing mom. And I've talked about this before in other videos, but on the other hand, I feel like it's such a big deal. It's not like, oh, I just want a little mini me running around. Like, it's a big deal.
It's a huge deal.
And a huge commitment and an energy suck. Like, and not to be, I mean, that sounds really mean, but the reality of it is that they require a lot of emotional, physical energy, mental energy also, that I don't know if I have that to give.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure. And I feel like if I were to adopt, I would want to have my own too. Because I feel like if I'm going to have a kid, like, let me just have a kid.
Yeah.
And I actually wouldn't mind adopting, but it's not, I think if I do have children, I would like to have my own before I adopt.
I'm just going to jump in, even though that question was not posed to me. I definitely want to get married again. I already have 3 children, as some of you guys hopefully know. I actually would prefer to date someone with kids.
I guess, yeah.
Because I really do like the idea of expanding my family. If I've even thought about having more kids myself, but because my 3 kids already have 2 different dads, I just don't want to have. I just don't want to keep going down that road. And it's not for judgment's sake, but at a certain point, it really does get confusing, especially at school and different stuff like that. Yeah. Like, I got 5 kids and they got 3 different dads, you know, like, no judgment, because I think big, huge blended families are beautiful.
They are.
I just don't know if I want to have more personally, but I love the idea of being a stepmom.
Yeah.
Because I think if that goes well, that makes a huge impact in people's lives when another person comes in and loves you like your biological parent. I could see that for sure.
I feel the same way in regards to men having children. It doesn't bother me to date a man who has kids. One, I feel like there's a level of responsibility that's not mine, so it's a little bit less pressure. But also, I feel like the way a man treats his child says a lot about who he is.
Oh, for sure.
So yeah. I find that to be attractive. So I would definitely not be opposed to being a stepmom. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I think that's a good point.
It's super sexy. You better bring your dad's self over here with your sexy self. Oh, Lord. So, okay, here's a question. Actually, I think you already answered this. Someone wanted to know about any negative feedback after sharing specifics of relationships. The question was really posed to both of us, but you already answered. I haven't had any negative feedback because I haven't been with my ex-husband in so long. At this point, anyone who knows either one of us don't care. So that's really
fair.
the thing. I have to get to the question from Deanna McGee. It says, question for Geraldine. You stated in your first marriage that you had a different understanding of what clean was than your husband. After divorce, did you obtain those virtuous qualities of cleaning a home from any source? And if how, and what sources did you use? So first let me say, I don't know if that was shade, but I'll allow it. Because I kind of like the way she said it, like kind of sweet, but kind of shady. So y'all want the real answer? I am not a super neat, freak, clean person. I'm just not. And I think sometimes it can be hard especially when you have younger kids, because your kids just mess your house up so much. However, you are right. I do think that there definitely is like a virtuous quality to keeping a home and all of that and everything that entails. Not necessarily just keeping it clean, but just making your house a home. I have definitely learned a ton more about that just over the course of my life. My ex-husband's grandmother, if you guys watched the video where I talked about his grandparents counseling us, she told me, which has always stuck with me, you can pray to God about anything, and you can pray to God about that. She said, if you are feeling overwhelmed as a mom and as a woman just trying to keep her home, pray to God to help you with that. So whether it's, because sometimes you link up with other moms or other people who give you little tips and stuff that maybe you might not have thought of. Or maybe you'll come across something in a magazine or whatever, because everyone has to have their own approach. So I do a much better job at it now. Thank you so much for asking. But more so, I've turned, like, I really want our home to be peaceful. Mm-hmm. So I've definitely gotten into like candles a lot more. And this is stuff that I know people have been doing for years, but it's just never really settled on me until maybe like within the last year. I had someone come in and help me with like interior decorating because I don't have a talent for that. But I think that is a big part of making your house a home too. Sure. That it just has those little, the stuff that I go in the store and I'm always like, why would people buy this? It's like a bowl full of like wicker balls. I've always thought that was weird, but now I have a bowl of wicker balls. And it's one of my favorite things, I don't know. So yes, thank you for asking. I think it has definitely gotten better. Does anyone walk in my house and smell pine sol? Not necessarily, but you might smell a gang of fruity tropical scented candles. So
that's a good thing.
Yeah. Stronger Than Stroke asked, how were you able to completely let go and move on to the next chapter of your life? That's a good question.
For me personally, it just took time and intentionality. Yeah. I feel like, the biggest thing for me was how did I end up in that situation in the first place? And I really had to go head to head with the Lord about that. I had to just be really willing to be honest with myself and be really willing to hear what God had to say about the situation, because even though I do feel like it was a very important part of my spiritual journey, and I believe that God allowed it, I don't feel like that's what God particularly wanted for me, but I think that he knew that I needed it. So I had to just be honest with myself, about where I was emotionally. And I think, I feel like a lot of people have a hard time doing that, being honest with where they are, where I was emotionally, which is one of the biggest reasons why I wanted to do those videos in the first place, because I was fully aware as I went through my journey of healing that, I take responsibility for a lot of the experience. I mean, obviously he is responsible for what he did, but I wouldn't have been in that situation if it weren't for the fact that I was in the place I was emotionally. So I had to, just really sit down with the Lord, just get really honest with him, and ask him to show me the reason why I ended up in that situation in the first place. But also I had to do a lot of forgiving, which is not easy to do. It's hard to do that. Forgiving him, but also forgiving his family for not telling me, for forgiving his family for shunning me, his other side, his mom's side, forgiving myself, and then, forgiving my ex before him, because if that relationship caused so much damage, which brought me to that place of insecurity. So there were a lot of dynamics, but I feel like, the biggest thing is just taking it to the Lord and, just really being willing to hear what he has to say on it.
Yeah. I would say for me, just like you said, it just takes time.
Yeah.
I think where my time clock slowed down was I had another relationship in there, which is definitely why you should give yourself time And sometimes more time than you think you need. Because it was a year in between leaving my ex-husband and getting in a relationship with my son's dad. And sometimes you think, a year like that seems like a fair amount of time. But a year is not a long enough time to heal, especially if you've been with someone already for a significant amount of time. We have been together, dating and marriage combined 8 years. So a year is probably not enough time to get over 8 years of a marriage and after a divorce, and especially if things are bad or what have you. So I feel like I'm just now getting to a point in my life where I'm moving into the next chapter, and it definitely has been seeking God, learning who I am, like you said, taking responsibility for my actions. I mean, it's just a process of falling in love with yourself, falling in love with God, and giving other people grace to know, like, we are not perfect. So there's not going to ever be another person out there that's perfect. But we should all be trying to do the best that we can to be the best version of ourselves, and then to love other people well. Dark and Sweet says, a question for Geraldine. Can you tell us about the hairstyle in the first half of the series? That was a half wig from Amazon.
Oh,
that was probably like $20 or so. So when you guys see me, I actually just recently cut my real hair short, but I've been natural for like over 4 years. But you'll always either see me in a wig or some sort of protective style, like crochet, like faux locks or something. So I do change my hair a lot. And then it says, secondly, without going into deep, why did your ex contest the divorce? And do you think it was about keeping up appearances? So a contested divorce doesn't always mean that the other person doesn't want the divorce. In our case, we both wanted the divorce, but we couldn't agree on how to dissolve the marriage in terms of assets, in terms of parenting time with the kids and stuff like that. So if you can't come to an agreement on your own, and then it still becomes a contested divorce, because now the judge has to work through all the details of how you guys separate everything. So that's what happened in our case. The last question is from Natural Green Thumb. Did you have any family or friends that were unsupportive or too opinionated or just plain out negative about your situation or decisions you've made concerning your marriage and divorce? And if so, how did you deal with them? What advice would you give someone who's going through this who doesn't have a positive support group around them? That's a deep series of questions.
Right. I personally had and still have an amazing support system.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I had anybody who was negative. I feel like more than anything, like they might have thought that I was just being ridiculous in the beginning before we got married. But I think once, we got divorced, I feel like they kind of respected my my stances a little bit more. Like, okay, well, I'm feeling a little bit like this. And before it would have been like, you're just being ridiculous. Now they're like, go with that.
Right.
So I
that gut feeling.
You better go with that gut feeling, girl. But I have a great support system. I didn't have any negativity.
Yeah. I didn't have negativity. I had several people, and I mean several people, after I divorced my ex-husband, to tell me, we never thought that y'all were a good match, and we never thought that y'all should get married. But none of those people said anything to me beforehand. I'm like, so y'all just saw me running towards a brick wall, and y'all just was going to let me run into the brick wall. So that actually did hurt my feelings for a while, because it had to have been a good 5, 6, 7 people to tell me that. We didn't really think that you should get married, but... And different people had different reasons. Some people's reason was just because I was young and I was still in college, and they were concerned about me finishing college. Rightfully so, because I didn't. Because we got married and I got pregnant, and then it just, from there, it just kind of went. But not saying that you can't get married or get pregnant and not finish college. I just didn't. So I wouldn't say it was negative, but I did have, after, you know, divorcing and I had my 2 daughters, and then I got in another relationship and had my son, I did have a family member that used to kind of make me feel bad about having 3 kids and them all not having the same dad, and used to kind of make me feel like, well, it's going to be hard for you to find someone who would want to take all that on. Which, for any person out there who's maybe in the same scenario, you have kids or they don't all have the same dad or whatever, that is not true. That is just a lie from the pit of hell. Okay. Because for every, and I talk to people. I'm very big on self-improvement and figuring stuff out. So I've talked to many men about that, and men do not care how many kids you have or how many different dads they have. They care that you take care of your kids. They care that you're a good mom. They do care that there's not a lot of drama in the situation surrounding your kid's dad. But even if you do have some drama, they more so care, how are you handling that? Handling the drama. Are you causing the drama? Yeah. Or is it the other person and you're doing your best to minimize it and not let it affect the kids? Like, any man that's worth anything and that's worth being in your life, they just want to see how you handle it and how your kids are. Are they good kids? Are they loving? Are they respectful? And as long as those things are in place, these men do not care. They're like, I'll be the daddy.
Most of them.
Most of them.
I will say that there are
men that are
quite
like,
a few
I
men
want a
that,
woman with kids.
I have definitely heard, but I feel like as we get older, you hear that less and less. Because I feel like, I mean, even from both sides of the coin, I feel like it's hard to find somebody who doesn't have kids.
The men are going to have kids, and they're going to pretty much know. I would say, I still hear some men in their 30s saying, well, I wouldn't. And usually these are men, of course, who don't have kids. Right. Or maybe who haven't gotten married yet. I wouldn't date a woman, or I wouldn't want to be with a woman with kids. And that's fine. I don't take offense to it, because it's more likely that I don't want you than you don't want us.
For sure. Because, I mean, I feel like anybody that's not open-minded is not somebody you want in your life anyway.
It's such a particular thing to find the right person to be around you and your children. I'm like, I'm going to be way more discerning about you. Yeah. Anyway, so it's not ever been a problem for me. So, moms of the world, unite.
Going back, in regards to people coming back and being like, I knew you shouldn't have got married. I guess my dad told me later on, which I didn't really perceive this as negativity. Yeah. But he did come back and say that he felt like we shouldn't get married. But I'm like, why didn't you tell me? Yeah. What did he say? You wouldn't have listened. Yes, I would. Like, first of all, you don't know what I would have said. I would have, if my dad would have come to me and told me that, I would have paused. I would have at least thought about it. Would I have listened? I don't know. Yeah. But I would have at least thought about it. Yeah. But he said it was because the first time that he met him, we drove my car to his house. My dad is such a great father. Like, he's the kind of man that, I mean, he fills up his Signy, he calls her his wife. They're not married, but they might as well be. He fills Signy's gas tank up for her. Every single time it needs to be filled up. Your dad still has old school. He pulls her car out of the garage and pulls it up to the front of the house every single morning before she leaves. Like, he is just that kind of guy. Yeah. So when we came from Indiana to Chicago to go to meet my dad, my Buick had so many problems. But one of the problems was that there was always a leaking tire. I could literally get new tires today, and there would be a leaking tire in a couple days. So my tire had been leaking, and I told my ex about it, but he still wanted to drive my car. So my dad was just like, why would he let you take your car knowing that it has a leaking tire? Yeah. And then instead of him taking care of that for me, my dad took my car and got it taken care of for me while we were at his house. So
you remember I told the tire story that I had
Yes.
with my car, and my
Yes.
dad ended up taking it. So don't y'all get me started
So
on the
my
tires.
dad, from that point on, was just like, he just side-eyed him from that point. He was just, you know, paying attention to those types of things. Then I had another friend. Before we got married, she was like, oh my gosh, you should totally get married. He's so the one. He's the one. He's the one. And then after we got divorced, she was like, I knew you shouldn't have got married. I'm like,
don't do it. Yeah, that would be rough. Yeah.
just a request, please. If you have a friend who is getting married to someone who you just feel your spirit is sirening off, please tell them.
Yeah.
I did that to a friend one time. I told her, and it actually ruined our friendship.
I think that's why people don't say anything, because they're afraid of what will happen.
Yeah, so I just told her, I was just like, I don't want you to take this the wrong way, but like, I just feel so strong in my spirit that like a cautioning of you moving forward into this marriage. And, you know, our friendship was never the same, but years later, she came back, because I did her hair. I told her when I was doing her hair, and then our relationship was just over pretty much. But then years later, she came back, and she came to me, and I basically was right.
But you never, like, that's such a slippery slope. That's hard for me to say with my
But to
lisp.
me, like, I respect so much more someone being honest. Like, at least, even if I'm like, you know, at least I'm like, well, I guess not everybody's the same.
I was going to say, that's you.
Yeah.
Not everybody feels
Not everybody's the
that way.
same. But to me, it's like, thank you so much for caring about me enough to try to save me.
Because even your dad, he's probably like, he would not want to push you away
Right.
or cause a wedge.
Sure.
Because some people just think, I would never want to lose this person as a friend or in my life. So I'm not going to say anything, because at least I can be here for them while they're going through it, because maybe they think that the friendship would end or the relationship would end, and then they wouldn't be able to be there for you at all.
Right. I think
so. I know it's hard.
It is hard. Missy was the only one. She was going to have a conversation with me about that, and she was going to warn me. But then, like, Gabrielle and I had a girls' night, and she said that the way I was talking about him, she thought, well, maybe I'm wrong, because she's really happy.
Yeah.
But she was the only, and she did tell me that she was going to have that conversation with me. But I respect her for that. I'm like, dude, thank you, man. Like, thank you.
Pray about it if you feel like there's someone that you really need to talk to. Pray about it and just ask God for the right words to say so that the friendship is not ruined. But if you really feel on your heart like you need to caution them, to prevent them from hurt, say something.
Say something.
Yeah.
You know, even if your friendship does get ruined, at least you know that you did your part. Like, if the friendship is supposed to be ruined, it's going to be ruined regardless.
Yeah.
You know, but to me, it's like, I would rather have our friendship fall apart and have tried to save you.
Yeah.
Than
for sure.
to come back and be like, well,
yeah, do it in love and it'll be fine. I did feel like
you shouldn't have gotten married. You know? But yeah. Anyway, is that the last question?
Yep.
Well, I guess that's it.
That was fun.
That was fun. I like that. So thank you guys for asking all the questions. We appreciate it. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up, comment, share, subscribe, and help me continue growing my family. Bye, guys.
Bye.